Good evening, everyone. Please, if you can hear me clearly and loud, I will love us to use our really heart button, our emoji, right now, so I can know I am live and everybody here can hear me. Okay, thank you so much, Miss Sabine Bola. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm sure quite a number of us were wondering when did we start the call that we were listening to very wonderful performers, or should I say a class, a very, very intelligent lecture was played at the beginning of the call, and that was an extract from the last webinar we did. And I'm sure those people who listen very well grab one or two things already, and that has prepared our mind for what is coming today. So once again, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Agribridge team, it is my pleasure to welcome warmly every one of you to today's webinar. I'm really appreciative for taking your time to join us from different locations. Your presence reflects your commitment to learning, collaboration, and advancing knowledge within the agricultural sector, like we've always mentioned inside the group. And not take much of our time, today's discussion is centered on a topic that continues to generate curiosity, debate, and misconception, which is might or method, separating fact from fiction in animal genetic improvement. Animal genetic improvement has transformed livestock production around the world, yet many myths still shape public perception. And tonight, we'll be separate scientific evidence from misconceptions and explore what genetic improvement truly means for farmers, researchers, students, and the future of sustainable livestock production. My name is Akelele Success Ayomipesi, and I have the privilege of serving as your moderator for today's section. And please, before we proceed, here are a few housekeeping guidelines that we all have to follow. The first thing is, please keep your microphone muted throughout the presentation, unless you are called on during the question and answer. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat box as they come to your mind. Anytime your question comes to your mind, just drop it in the chat box. We are actively monitoring the chat box. Thank you very much. I'm still stating the housekeep guideline. I will come again. The first thing is for every one of us to keep our microphone muted throughout the presentation. And I said that we are all free to drop our questions in the chat box as soon as they come to your mind. You don't have to wait to the question and answer session before you drop your questions. Then the question and answer session will take place immediately after the panel discussion. Lastly, we encourage everyone to be respectful and professional engagement, like we expect that from everyone one of us throughout the events. So without more information to send out, I'll be introducing the panelists to us, because we have two panelists, and our first panelist is Dr. Ayoola. Dr. Ayoola John is an associate professor in the Department of Animal Science at the Federal University Lokoja, Kogi State, and a distinguished researcher, lecturer, and consultant specializing in animal genetics, breeding, reproductive biotechnology, and livestock production. He holds a bachelor degree in animal production and health from the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, a master's degree in animal reproductive physiology from the Federal University of Technology, Mina, and a PhD in animal genetics and breeding from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. With over 2 decades of teaching, research, and industry experience, Dr. Shoyombo has led groundbreaking initiative in livestock genetic improvement and reproductive technologies. He is the pioneer investigation behind Nigeria's first indigenous meat-type chicken breed, Homo super, and the initiator of Landmark University Cattle Cooperative and Artificial Insemination Initiative. His work also includes pioneering research on the application of RFID technology and virtual electric fencing for cattle management in Nigeria. He is the recipient of the TED Fund National Research Fund grant and currently a knowledge transfer partner on an international feed innovation project between the University of the West of Scotland, UNAB, Ajogbe. Dr. Shoyombo has authored more than 80 peer-reviewed publications and contributed extensively to national and international scientific conferences. His passion for translating research into practical solutions for farmers make him an invaluable voice in advancing sustainable livestock production and genetic improvements. And that is that about Dr. Ayoola John Shoyombo. I will also like to read the citation about the second panelist, that is Mr. Olawole Tumise Olagbaju. Mr. Olawole Tumise Olagbaju is the Chief Executive Officer of Real People Concepts and a respected consultant in animal reproduction technology with a passion for advancing livestock productivity through practical innovation and capacity building. Over the years, he has worked extensively with livestock producers, researchers, and industrial stakeholders to promote the adoption of modern reproductive technology that improve herd performance and farm profitability. He has played a leading role in organizing professional trainings, workshops, and technical engagements on reproductive ultrasonography, artificial insemination, and livestock breed improvement, contributing significantly to knowledge transfer within Nigeria livestock sector. Recognized for his commitment to bridging scientific innovation with practical farm application, Mr. Olagbaju continue to champion technology-driven solutions that strengthen livestock production. Right before we welcome our two panelists, Ms. Abimbola Akewele will be moderating the panel session. So, Ms. Abimbola, hope you are here and you're active.
Yes, I am. Good evening. Good evening,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you very much. I am handing over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Success. It's a great honor for me to moderate this panel section, and I gladly want to welcome our panelists. I would like to welcome you, sir, Dr. Ayoola Shoyombo. Good evening, sir. Please, you can join me right on the stage. Mr. Olawole Olagbaju, thank you so much for doing this with us. You are also welcome on the call right now.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. Hello, doctor. Are you there?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me. And good evening, Mr. Tumise.
Good evening, Doc. I'm very good, sir.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to you.
Yeah,
Good to have you on the same panel session.
My great pleasure, sir.
Yeah.
It's a great honor for us to have you on this section today. And I want to let everybody know this, that we have very amazing set of persons on this call tonight. They are top in the field when it comes to genesis and breeding across the nation globally. So please, let's take charge. Let's make use of this opportunity that we have with them tonight. Ask as much as you can, learn as much as you can. And one thing that we want to promise you is this: even after this section, you can still have access to this meeting. So you can listen to it over and over again, and you can always come back to ask your questions. So thank you so much. Before we go into the full questioning of demystifying the misconceptions, I would like you to give us a brief backstory of how, especially like for Dr. Ayoola, I would say as a researcher in our country, it is not too common to find a breeder, especially animal breeder, and you are a breeder even in large ruminants. So we would like to know, sir, what is the backstory? Like, what actually interested you? What made you pick interest in genetics and research, and what have you been doing over the years?
Thank you so much. Once again, good evening. Well, this question you have just asked is a question that a lot of people have asked me over and over. Every time I'm invited to this kind of gathering, it's usually the first question: that what is actually the driving factor behind us being in this profession? Well, for me, I would say it's passion. Passion is that thing that you are willing to do even when you are not paid. So, in a nutshell, from the time I got to know myself as a teenager, my passion has always been in animal improvement. I used to tell my students that my mom actually was responsible for some of these characters we are demonstrating now. When she was alive, she would always give me money. Take my son, buy me one chicken. You know, our parents will always raise chicken at home. Buy me a chicken, buy me a goat. And you find out that everything that happens to that animal, I am usually the one she will call. I have elder ones, I have younger ones. She will never call them. Just me, as if she knew. Our mothers have a way of knowing what the child will turn out to be. She would always call me. And so when I was going to get into the university, I bought a form and I never filled any other course other than animal science. Here we are today, and we cannot just be grateful to God for how far He has brought us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We would like to say thank you to your mom for the encouragement. You know, there are some things that we just learn, let me say by observation. They don't really have to tell us, we just grow to like them. That's a very nice one from you, sir. Sir Olagbaju, I would like to know, you have done so many amazing work, a lot of amazing work, which I know about, just like Dr. So I would like to know what actually made you interested in this field too.
Okay. Once again, good evening to you. Good evening to everyone. Well, I would say it's just God's ordained way for me to go through, because I trained as a science lab technologist. Yeah, and I was working, in the sales of laboratory equipment. But when the time came for me to be on my own, I wanted to do something different from what I was doing, because I was actually working with my uncle, and I didn't want to be a stiff competitor to him. So I wanted something different. So it was while I was searching that I saw Dramisky products, ultrasound scanners, estrus detectors, pregnancy detectors, and the like. So, and that was the beginning. Actually, I was selling at a point, but as I was having interaction with farmers all around, I realized farmers most of them cannot even afford the devices. So we started rendering services. Then we went to the point of setting up our own ranch to be a demo farm. And in the course of all of this, we realized that somebody needs to step out to be a pace setter, to champion a cause, and to show the way. And that's why we put a lot of our energy into this. And particularly, you cannot be talking about breeding, you cannot be talking about breed improvement without reproduction. And since reproduction is core to any improvement, and we have, let me say, very limited individuals or organizations working in this direction. So that gave us the motivation to take a lead.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, you've taken the lead and you have led so well. I must say that, and kudos to you for the great job you are doing so much, sir. So it's quite amazing you started as a service provider and now you are one of the leading voices in this space. It's a lot of encouragement for some people who are trying to get into the agri space. I know this is going to encourage a lot. Okay, so I was trying to refer to what Mr. Tumise has said.
Okay.
That he realized that a lot of farmers, while providing services, he realized that a lot of farmers do not actually have the basics of those things, especially when it comes to the knowledge and the implementation. So he has to take the lead by having a demo farm. So, Doctor, I would like you to break it down for everyone on this call, because we have quite a number of farmers. This community has a lot of farmers. So I would like you to break it down for us, like the word genetics, the word genetic improvements, and breeding. Because like now, a lot of people just want to do it, but they don't really know the basic understanding of those things, because the word is just flying around and everybody wants to catch up with it. I would like you to make us understand what genetic improvement is, breeding, and also genetics itself.
Thank you so much. Just like you said, let me say it in a layman English. Let me start with genetics. Genetics can be said to be the science of heredity. The science of heredity, and how those traits, how genes are passed from parents to offspring from one generation to another. Breeding, on the other hand, is the practical mating of the male animal, of course, animal of interest, to the female animal, either through technologies or naturally, to produce the subsequent generation. While genetic improvement is a breeding done with purpose over many generations. So I can say genetics is the grammar, while breeding is writing a sentence, and then genetic improvement is writing a good essay. Genetics is grammar, breeding, writing a good sentence, while genetic improvement is like a good essay. These three actually are interwoven, and most times they are interchangeably used. But the distinction is what I've just said, that genetics basically is the science of heredity, while breeding is the mating of the male and female, and then genetic improvement is breeding done with a purpose over many generations, with the sole intention of shifting population's average, what we call genetic merit, towards a defined goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So please, I want to know in the comment section if you are getting that genetic improvement is breeding with purpose, like there's an intentional heart behind that. So please, I want to know in the comment section if you are getting it already. I want to know if you are learning something new or you have questions. Please put your questions in the chat box. Thank you so much, Doctor. So from what he has said, Doctor said it is genetic improvement is breeding with purpose, like there's an intention behind it. And there's a word called breeding objective. So the purpose is the objective, right? So sir, because you've been rendering service to a lot of farmers, Sir Olagbaju, I would like you to tell us what it is, maybe let's say maybe the way you advise your clients when it comes to breeding, when it comes to genetic improvements. What are the objectives most of people have? In fact, you can start by telling us if there are cases whereby you have to reorientate the farmers, because sometimes they just want to do it, they actually do not know what they want, they are doing, or they don't have the basic background, but they just want to do it because they saw that, okay, this is the new trend. So sir, you can just put us through what breeding objective is and how you walk clients through that.
Okay, thank you. Of course, we have different categories of clients, from those who are knowledgeable to those who are not. And of course, the expectations from each category is different. Yeah, where you are dealing with knowledgeable clients, of course, your stress is minimal. But where you don't have, you are dealing with a client without so much knowledge, you have to do a bit of explanation. For example, a client may have a young heifer who is barely 150 kg, 200 kg, and they want to breed that heifer with Ossifrasian or Brahma. So in this case, you have to tell them, okay, this is the standard. If you are breeding at all, you won't use anything lower than 250 kilo, so that the the heifer or cow can be able to carry the fetus, can be able to, calve on its own. So we've had series of cases that we've really attended to. But what I would say is that we, as a country, God has blessed us with fantastic breeds, lovely animals, good qualities. What we have not done over the years is to deliberately improve them. And then because we have not done that, over the years, we are now in a hurry. We want to jump, and that has cost us a lot of funds that have gone into the drain. We can actually start from the basics, from a natural selection. And I think we need to really consider this as we go on in our breeding program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I like with time we are going to get there, natural selection. But one thing is this, I'm going to ask Doctor this. Like currently now, when farmers want to improve their breeds, the first thing that comes to their mind is, okay, it's either we are getting semen or we are importing live bull in case of cattle, or for even goats, they want to get a male animal. Like everybody is looking forward to the male animal. So I want you to clarify us, when it comes to genetics, is it the male parent that is the sole contributor of the offspring genetics? Like, what is the contribution of both parents, or is it that one is more prioritized than the other? Because the attention is more on the female parents than the female parents. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Basically, it's a general belief that probably the dam contributes more or whatever, but in reality, and in breeding and genetics, genetically, genes contributed or brought forward is a 50-50 split for both the parents. They contribute equal amounts of nuclear DNA. But of course, the dam, which is the female, contributes more than genes. She gives the uterine environment, she gives colostrum, she gives milk. So our influence on the calf is actually it actually goes beyond genetics. However, the male, which is the sire, also has to do with, because a male can actually, when you talk about AI, a male can produce far more offspring than the dam will ever produce in a lifetime. So the male also plays very, very important role where genetic progress is involved. So you cannot actually come to say it is the male that gives, or that is responsible for the characters and the offspring, or it is the female. Each of them gives 50-50 genetic DNA to the young one, but of course, at different levels, they also play roles more than just genetics. Like I said, the female is responsible for the colostrum, the first 7 days milk after calving. In the case of cattle, gives a uterine condition for carrying pregnancy. While the male, when you are talking about genetic progress, it is in the male, or the male is actually responsible when genetic progress is involved, because a single male, when we talk about the prime male or the prime bull, semen can be used on several females, and whatever gene he's carrying is transferred to several. I give you a practical example. In University of Maryland, just around April this year, I saw a calf belonging to a father that lived about 100 years ago. And the man on the farm was telling me that the father of this calf lived about 100 years ago. That buttresses what I'm trying to say, that when genetic progress is actually involved in whatever you're doing, the male plays very, very important role. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The male actually play a very important role, but then we cannot underrate the contribution of the female because she gives the environment, she gives beyond the genetics, she nurtures the offspring. So, like Mr. Olagbaju, fathers that are even underweight and they want to breed it, which will not make it possible, even though the father has the best gene. If the mother is not having the right condition, it's not going to work. So thank you so much for that, sir. So, sir, you already mentioned a little bit about weight. So I would like to know, beyond the weight of the animals, Mr. Olagbaju, what are the other things that are considered? You know, like when we're on the farm, we necessarily don't have to carry the animals to the lab before considering them for reproduction purpose. So what are the other things that you check out for, like beyond scientific evidence, like going to the lab to collect samples or things like that?
Okay. We check the body condition scoring. I want to see how robust the cattle is, if it's well fed, looking good, and not emaciated. This is very key. The weight at serving is very key. If the female is not a first timer, we want to find out how it has fared with the past parturition. If it lactate well, if it aborts. You know, some female, they keep aborting at some point. Some when they give birth, they don't nurse their kids. They are young. So all of these are very key, and the health status of that animal is very key for us. You know, these are some of the conditions we check, you know, and tick before any process is carried out.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, if you're on the call and you've ever bred any animal of any kind, I want to know, did you actually consider all these things or you are learning them for the first time? I want to know your experience from what you have bred or whatever breed you have bred or the animals you have bred. I want to know your experience from them. And I also want to know, have you actually bred before? Let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much. So you can use the chat box. And please, I want to remind us that whenever your question crosses your mind, our eyes are on the tab. Please do also drop your questions immediately. Do also drop your questions immediately. Thank you so much, sir. So I'll be asking Dr. the next question. You know, from the conversation, he has mentioned we ask what are the past experience for this animal? Okay, is it new? Things like that. But there is one thing also, even though we are trying to breed with intention, we are trying to breed with purpose, there is also something that is observation, like it's observed. And if care is not taken, it's going to be even a more bigger problem in genetic improvement across the nation. And it is this thing, it is when the breeding is not with purpose, like there is no breeding objective, and also record keeping especially. So like when it comes to like the national status, how big can this problem be, or how much of problem can it cause in the long run?
Yeah, thank you so much. For any meaningful breeding, record keeping is key. As a matter of fact, any meaningful genetic improvements or breeding objective you want to drive at starts with record keeping. It could be, there are different ways of record keeping. It could be through the normal ear tags. It could be with RFID in advanced situations. But record keeping is the number one. You need to be very careful to be sure that you're breeding and whatever you're gaining in terms of genetic gain is progressive. It becomes a bigger problem when you mismatch. I don't want to use our terminologies because of our audience. I'm sure it's a mixed multitude. There's what we call inbreeding depression, like crossing the father to the daughter, or crossing the son to the mother, or even crossing the sibs, the brother and the sister. Just like so, record keeping is the number one thing we must take into cognizance, because if you don't have proper record keeping, if you gain a step in the right direction with improper record keeping and data gathering, you can in the second filial generation or in subsequent meetings, you can move backward 10 steps. So record keeping is the first thing that gives you an idea of the genetic pool you have in the country at different levels. That also makes you know and gives you an idea of what you have done. Are you gaining or you're losing, or where you are? It also tells you what you should do next, and a whole lot that will actually culminate into your breeding objective. Record keeping, very key. It's the starting point of any genetic improvement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to ask Mr. Olagbaju a question linking to what Doctor has just said, how important record keeping is. I want to know if maybe by chance you have met with a farmer who has started, like the journey of genetic improvements before, and they were not keeping records. I don't know if you can share any of the experience with us.
Well, generally in Nigeria, we don't keep proper records, and that also affects our breeding program. It affects livestock as well. Well, almost all the farms I've worked don't really have records, and that also has inspired us to also take some actions that can help farmers with ease. So for that to be announced in due course, it's an emerging program for us, and we will put it out at the appropriate time. We have that problem of record keeping. You get to farms, most animals are not having any identification form, whether ear tag or ear notching or whatever, you know. So that there are some people that even say, okay, they don't know the number of their animals, but they can identify them when they see them, you know. So how do you keep, proper record in that situation? So it's a big issue, and we need to really begin to look at it and work towards improving on it.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, if you are a farmer on this call, I want to know, do you keep records? Please, I'm watching the chats right now. I want to know, like, just be honest. We are not going to judge you. It is obvious. We all know most of our farmers do not keep record. So we want to know, are you keeping record? How do you keep your record if you do? Do you write it on your phone? Do you have a notes? Are you using Excel sheets? Are you using an app to keep the records? Are your animal tag? I want to know in the chat. We want to see it, and I'm watching for it right now. So thank you so much, Mr. Olagbaju, for that. Okay, so this another thing. He has mentioned, okay, yes, I've seen Garavali say he keeps record, he uses an app. Well done, well done. I'm seeing Elijah, he said he used exercise book. Well done, well done. So yes, Doctor, you mentioned something earlier about mismatch. But like, I'm going to come from a kind of different, similar, not so different. We might end up, if you don't keep records, you might end up having just any breeds. Okay, I want to cross my animal. This year you cross with Brahma, the next year you cross with Austin. Okay, the offspring, you just bring another set of semen or another type of bull to cross them. So things like this, we actually, because it is currently happening, we have a lot of uncoordinated crossbreeding across the country, and now a single animal, we have more than, like, it's a composite, but the composite is more like 3, 4 breeds in a single animal. So like it's not even coordinated. What are the long-term effects of these actions that is going on across?
Yes, thank you so much. Basically, when you have indiscriminate breeding, that's the word, uncoordinated mating, you end up having, most times, some people call it mongrels, where you cannot actually define what breed that animal is. For example, you cross white Fulani with Sokoto Gudali, you cross with Rahaji, and then the offspring you also cross with Muturu. What that simply means is that if it continues over a long period of time, there is going to be what we call not genetic erosion per se, but it's going to be over a long period of time. You are going to be losing breeds, distinct breeds, because all the breeds would have been crossbred such that you do not have pure lines anymore. And when you don't have pure lines, genetic improvement becomes more difficult, because for every breed that is unique, you want to have characters that you want to improve those breeds along. And now when you are now talking about mongrels, it becomes a more difficult task, because you are having different characters in one animal. So which or where do you want to start from? So it is often advised, even though we understand that crossbreeding can actually result into what we call hybrid vigor, but it must be done with a purpose. It must be done with a direction. It must be done with objectives in mind to see, and then to know when you have the terminal cross. Once I achieve this, then I am okay. I cannot go into this. And then, like I said earlier, proper record to be sure of which animal are you mating, which animal to, the dam, the sire, the offspring, in each of the generations, properly recorded for future breeding purposes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, I'm seeing a chat right now. Abubakar Adamu said he is a farmer, and our challenge is that most of the animal scientists we employ don't have a sound ground of how to keep data. I will let Mr. Olagbaju answer that alongside his next question before I attend to other questions in the chat box. So what I wanted to ask was this: now that like these things are actually happening, so I want to know if a farmer has by chance maybe lodged complaint of things like this. What effect does it have on the cost of production when they have animals that their breeds are not even defined?
Sorry, can you come again?
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
sir. So like the last question I had was, what are the effects of all this uncoordinated breeding, crossbreeding that is going on across? So I was now asking if by chance or at any point you have met with farmers that have animals that their breeds are not defined. You know, maybe their goat is mixed, their cows are mixed, like they don't even know which exact breed is the animal belongs to. Like, what is the effect on their cost of production, and how does it affect them in the long run, especially financially and other care when caring for the animals?
Okay. Well, this could be flipping to the two sides of the coin. But I can tell you, that we have had a series of gene pollution. Definitely, I was on a project today. It's a goat breeding program, and we had some supposedly Red Sokoto does on the farm, but we are seeing some features of West African dwarf, in them. On my farm, I bought some young bocolos. I'm a fan of bocolo, and it's shocking to see them grow on as they mature. So I have quite a number of them on my farm. Well, this might not, apart from the genetic, erosion or whatever, as long as there is no um, inbreeding, it may not have a serious effect because the hybrid vigor will even, reflect at the end of the day because you see some animal, they are, of course, you look at this, this is Bukolo, then you see some features of white Fulani, but you see them, grow very big. So where we will have issue is when inbreeding set in. When we breed a breed to another, of course, that we're going to have, a bit of improvement, whether we like it or not. Yeah, but where we will have issue is when inbreeding setting. But then we're also eroding, the genetic values that we have. It's now difficult to say, okay, this animal is a pure white Fulani, this is pure Bokolo, or except we go into the, into the genome to see, okay, deep down, okay, is this animal really white Fulani or Bokolo? So I think those are the few things I've seen on the farm, and it might not have immediate effects on the economics of the farm, except when inbreeding setting, and then that becomes a problem. It will interest you that now, though it's on purpose, we have farms that does uh, Frisian on Jersey. They do Frisian on Jersey, and the combination is fantastic. The milk volume from the offspring has improved, and the fat also, from Jersey, you know. So, but what we need to do is to do this based on knowledge, and of course, we need data. We need data to be able to actually prove that, okay, is this thing taking us forward? Are we static or we are going backward? So everything is still going back to record and data to ensure that, okay, yes, we are making serious progress.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So there's a chart from the chat box that I read, and I wanted you to walk us through just a basics. So the person said, I am a farmer, and our challenge is that most of the animal scientists we employ don't have a sound ground of how to keep data. I know keeping data is not something complex, so I would like us to just enlighten us on the basics of keeping data.
Okay, is that to me, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
I said you
Uh,
answered.
okay, all right. So record keeping is not a rocket science, no. Um, so if you have a farm, you want to decide what are the types of records that you want to keep. For example, you want to have a stock record. You want to know, okay, how many animals do I have? If you are a cattle farmer, it's okay, how many bulls do you have? How many cows do you have? How many heifers do you have? How many calves do you have? So you want to keep the record of your breeding record. Okay, this cow was mated or artificially inseminated, on so date by this bull or with this particular semen. you know. So you want to keep parturition in cattle. You want to keep calving record in goats. it's kidding in sheep, it's lambing in pigs, it's farrowing. If you want to keep this record, so what are the things what are the information that you want in this record? So in each of the record that you want to keep, so you want to determine, okay, what are the information I want? So if it is a kidding record, for example, what is the date of that kidding? What is the identification number for the doe? What is the breed of that doe? What is the breed of the sire? That's the father. What is the tag number of that sire? So what is the breed of that kid? Because if the sire and the dam are are different breeds, so you may want to attach. Like now we have some people have a boa word. When you breed a boa buck to a West African dwarf doe. Some have a kalasok. When you breed a kalari with a resokoto, doe. So you cannot give a name, in that order to the calf. So you want to also have a earth record. Earth record, of course, the identity of that animal is important, and that's why identification is very key. So that anytime you are doing anything with that particular animal, it's the tag number that you can always refer to. So if it is health record, okay, the animal is sick. What are the symptoms? What is the date? What are the if you take some samples to the laboratory, what is the laboratory saying? If a vet or an animal health person comes visiting, what are the observations? What are the drugs recommended? What are the dosage? So the route of administration, the response to the treatment. So record keeping, it could be a science and art, because you can do it following some basic rules and put it up as it suits your farm. So what works for me may not really work for other, depending on what we do or what our targets are. But the key is, what are the type of record we want to keep, and what are the type of information that we want to have in that record, and just do it. You can do it on a sheet of paper, you can do it on Excel. If you have a software that works for you, then you can do it on it. Basic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, Abubakar Adamu, you asked this question specially. So I would like to know if you got all the information. And for every other person on the call, I would like to know if you got the information. I want to see a reaction from you to know you got the information. Thank you. Okay, somebody is okay. Thank you so much. Okay, yes, what I'm going to ask next is still in line. It's still in line. I can see your reactions. Thank you so much. You can keep it coming. Okay, so I'm going to ask Dr. this. Yes, the question I'm asking is about semen. Like we import a lot of breeds of semen, although they are not regulated. So I want us to know, I want you to share it with us. The breeds of animals that are being imported as female into the country, is there a way that maybe public awareness or something to make everybody understand? There are some breeds, let's say Guilando, for example, or some other animals, because somebody actually said that we are focusing on ruminants. But one thing I want you to understand is this: what we are saying now, it's spread across all the livestock. Although it just seems as if this assisted reproductive technology are more common in ruminants now, because we have moved this population indigenously. Other animals they've gotten their balance already. If you don't mind, but I know like the knowledge you are getting now, you can apply it to other fields. Record keeping is what we can apply across all the fields of livestock. So please, it's not a bias call. we are only trying to make us understand the basics of this thing. We can apply it across board. Okay, sir. Doctor. So what I was saying is about the semen markets and the breeds of animals that are being imported. So, like these animals, like, are they all fit for our climate or for our environment or for the kind of management system we have now? Are they all fit for that?
Yeah, thank you so much. To answer that question, I would like us to understand that most of the semen, let me start from the semen we import into Nigeria, or that comes or that finds their way into Nigeria, not that we import. Because one way or the other, the government may not even have the knowledge of some semen that finds their way into this country. I've been in a place outside this country where they were actually saying about 10,000 straws of a particular breed, exotic breed of cattle, came into Nigeria. And when I returned, I asked the people in charge of semen, what's it called? People in the ministry in charge of, and they said they never issued any import permits to that effect. So that's why I said some semen find their way into, but of course, we also need to understand that a lot of farmers go out there, see some animals they fall in love with, and then they just feel, if I get the semen of this animal, I can reproduce it in Nigeria, without considering that the phenotype of an organism is actually a sum total of the genes and the environment. So it is not enough to just bring in semen of an animal you fall in love with out there. Have you considered the genetic makeup of that animal and the environment it is coming into? A lot of people will say exotic breeds of animal are superior to our indigenous animal. For us, we understand that, yes, exotic animals may have concentrated gene for a particular breed, for example, milk, and it is designed for a particular environment. And that's why you cannot bring in Holstein or Jersey from wherever and bring into Nigeria and expect them to perform optimally the way they are performing from where they are coming from, because of the environment. Even though the genes are there, if the environment is not there, there is no way it can perform. So if you're bringing in semen, for whatever reason, you must also understand that the semen you're bringing in is not going to perform any magic if other inputs that will guarantee the performance of the offspring are not in place. So it is not enough to bring in imported semen. You must consider the gene, you must consider the environment. And like I always say, that there's no magic we want to play as far as this country is concerned. We must start from the rudiments. We must commence from selection and reselection of our indigenous breed, because our indigenous breed are already adapted to our tropical environment. They have good qualities. When you talk about units, inputs, our animals are adapted to diseases, they're adapted to tropical diseases, they are resilient, and these are characters that may be lacking in exotic breeds when you bring in the semen to produce animals here. So you must weigh your options and be clear about what you have in mind to do with the semen you're bringing in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So you have to have a clear understanding of what you want to do and why. So it is not enough to just import semen. It is not enough to eye a particular breed of animal. You must think of what it takes to get those animals on your farm, in our environment, and the management system you also have. So there's a question in the chat that I'm going to be reading, is from Franklin. So Sir Olagbaju, you will respond to these questions for us. He said, what are the most common misconception about animal genetic improvement? And what practical step can farmers take to use evidence-based genetic selection to improve the performance of their livestock? I would also like to add, sir, you can help us to answer this in the question. What are the shortcuts that farmers actually take? Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. On short courses, I am not familiar with what most institutions are doing, but I know
No,
definitely some institutions may be having some short courses. I know Federal College of Animal Health and Production Technology does. Sometimes I know IR&T, organizes short courses, training programs. Uh, you know, yeah, at the RPC Cattle Hub, we've done some courses also in the past. So on misconception, now people think that all of these things are just copy and paste. That okay, if you copy it from here, you paste it here, then you get, you know, the exact answer. Not knowing that a lot, you know, is a lot are different. The environment is different. The management system, is different. The people, are different. The knowledge base is different. So if you are working on breed improvement, bringing in improved genetics, you will not care for your hybrid, maybe a Frisian white Fulani hybrid. Like you are just throwing your white Fulani under the sun and in the rain. It won't just work. A farmer, I just got a sad news 2 days ago. A farmer who bought a bull of an exotic bull. Yeah, recently, that the bull of about 1.5 million naira died within days of reaching that farm. And we have farms that also got bull from that farm, and the animals are still doing well. So the knowledge base of that farm, the handler of the animal matters a lot. The managemental requirement of the animal we're importing or we're copying and pasting, matters a lot. So we must be ready, to take proper care of them. So it's not just going to be business as usual. I checked through the chat box, and I saw the comment of someone who said that we are tilting the convention around the ruminants. My apologies, I'm a ruminant person, and so I speak more with where I operate more. So I deal with cattle, sheep, and goats. Of course, I'm familiar with pigs, poultry, rabbits, but I'm bigger on ruminants. So my apologies for using this as an example. And as the moderator said, all of these things we are mentioning are applicable to other breeds. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir. Okay, like what I actually mentioned the other time were like the short course, and you already told us how to answer that question for us. So the question is from Prosper Joshua. So it said, sir, to what extent does crossbreeding affect the safety and quality of animal products intended for consumption? So he asked two questions, and he said the other question, what morphological and physiological parameters can be used to distinguish crossbreed animal from their parent breeds?
Okay, thank you. The first question is saying,
what extent?
The first question that does hybrids or crosses
Okay.
have any? Is there any
the safety
difference
and the
when you
quality of the
consume or
animal
something?
products?
Am I correct?
Yes, the safety and the quality of the animal products intended for consumption.
Yeah, animal product intended for basically when you crossbreed animal, for example, if you're crossing, let's say even our indigenous breed, you're crossing a white Fulani with a red Sokoto. Again, sorry, let me apologize because some complain that we are using cattle goats or ruminant animals more for our illustrations. Again, I'm a ruminant specialist. I do a lot of breeding on, even though I still do poultry, I do. So I'm more comfortable with animals I see and interact with on daily basis. If you cross white Fulani with Sokoto Gudali and you have a cross as the offspring, there is no any negative effect on the cross when it comes to the product. You can only say maybe, for example, some characters may be more prominent in the young than in either of the parents. For example, the dewlap in Sokoto Gudali is more prominent than the dewlap in White Fulani. As a matter of fact, White Fulani does not even have dewlap, so to speak. So if you cross the White Fulani and the Sokoto Gudali, the young one may eventually come out with a dewlap that is not as prominent as that of the Sokoto Gudali, the parent Sokoto Gudali, but better than that of the parent White Fulani. And so depending on the character you're looking at will determine what you're crossing and what you are getting in the offspring. The second question says, what physiological, whatever you're crossing will determine what you are going to be having in your F1 or in your offspring. And that is why every time you're crossing your animal, you must do a crossing with a purpose. You want to talk about body morphometrics, maybe you want bigger animals, then you need to make sure that whatever you want is actually domicile, the gene you're looking for or the character you're looking for in the offspring. You must be sure that these characters exist in the parents, because each of the parents will be contributing equal amounts of DNA to the offspring, and therefore whatever is lacking in the parents without mutation or whatever may not be visible in the offspring. You're crossing a White Fulani and a Sokoto Gudali, and then you're having the offspring. The offspring will, to some extent, take characters from the White Fulani, and to some extent, take characters from the Sokoto Gudali. And that would be a hybrid, a cross between the two of them. Sorry, not a hybrid, a cross. And if it's a cross, you know that whatever you're looking for, sometimes if it is in both parents, then the young one can show what we call transgressive variation, a variation that is outside the scope of either parent. If one of the parents is giving 4 liters of milk per day, and the other is giving 6 liters of milk per day, you may be fortunate, depending on the level of heredity, the young one may be giving 6.5 or 6 or 6.8 or 5, not up to the maximum, but above the minimum. I hope that is clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would like to just add to this. There's somebody that asked in the chat and said, this is from Olawole Johnson. He said, is there a way to ascertain the purity of a breed?
Okay, good. Different ways to ascertain the purity. One, if you have the records of the parents, maybe the great-grandparents, the great-grandparents, the grandparents, and then the parents, you could use that record to ascertain the purity of that particular. Apart from that, you could also use genomics, which is the most recent, to do. You could do a kind of genome test to ascertain the purity. For example, I was on a farm, not in Nigeria, and a calf was born. And because of the fact that the farmer wasn't sure of when the cow came on heat and which bull actually mated her. When the calf was born, the farmer just picked some strand of hair from the tail and took it to the lab and did some genomic work. And on the following day, the purity and the father of that calf was revealed. The animal was born, and the farmer was worried that I don't really know the father of this animal, and since he didn't abort the pregnancy, the calf came. He didn't want a calf with the horn, but he wasn't sure the father, because if the father was horned, probably the calf, being a male, may also come out or turn out to be a horned animal, and he didn't want that on his farm. He wanted to be sure, so he just picked hair from the tail and took it to the lab and did some genomic work on the hair, and then the paternity of the animal was revealed the following day, and then he took his decision. So you can actually use records from great-grandparents to determine the purity. If you know that the great-grandparents were animals and that had this particular level of purity, and there has never been any form of dilution, of course, apart from mutation, it will be difficult to have. Or you may decide to say what is in vogue now, which is the quickest form of identification, is to do the genome analysis or genomic analysis. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I noticed some hands are raised. Please, you just give us some time more. I'll still be giving attention to the questions in the chats currently till we have some few minutes more, then we'll now start taking questions from people who want to speak. So please bear that with us. So I'm going to ask you, sir, Mr. Olagbaju, this question. There's a question in the chat from Aziz Ahmed. He said, what is one thing extension messaging gets wrong about crossbreeding that you wish more new farmers understood before they invest? So while answering that question, sir, I would like you to also talk about this fear of artificial insemination, because it is one of the most accessible currently of all the assisted reproductive technologies. But then some people, even with the level of success rates we have, some people still have the fear of the failure. So I would like you to talk about that, why you also answer his question.
Okay, though I didn't get the first question right from Aziz Ahmed. If you can. Okay. I think I'm on it now. What's one thing extension messaging gets wrong about crossbreeding that you wish more new farmers understood before they invest? Well, I think what is important is that once you are dealing with improved breeds this time, but even when you are talking about crossbreeding, you can cross, for example, a Balami ram with Yankasa or Uda. Even though Balami is, Balami doesn't really do well in the southern part, they can do well in the dry northern part. So environment plays a very important role when it comes to crossbreeding. So if we look at the type of animal we are bringing, if they are coming from the tropics and you're bringing it to the tropics, managemental requirement is minimal. But if they are coming from the temperate, you are bringing to the tropics, then you have a lot of work to do. We've seen some crossbreds, Frisian, Brahma cross with indigenous breeds with even Girolando, with some serious skin issues that could really not be managed. So if you want to go into crossbreeding, you must be ready for the business of it. We must be able to provide the appropriate management, the environment, the care, so that the brain objectives can actually be achieved. So I think I've answered that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We are making a
Okay,
shout out to
sorry. There's another. Okay, I just remember the question on AI.
AI.
Yes.
Yes.
So now, in fact, what led to most of my researches are, the cry in town about failures of some of this AI. What I see majorly is that we lack uh, basic knowledge of reproductive physiology of our animals. We use the textbooks, we use the procedures of animals in the Western world. We use their information on our animals in our own environment, in our own unique production system. So I think that's a major setback for us. We need to really improve on our researches in understanding the physiology of our animals, and that's what my team and I have been doing over the years, which has led to a bit of improvement in um, in our success rate. So yeah, we have challenges, but then we are keeping at it to improve on our methods, on our processes to get better results. Definitely, we are getting better as we are keeping at it. So the challenges are there, but then we are getting better by the day. Knowing more about these animals, then we can develop our indigenous protocols that works for us. But what doesn't fail is when you are synchronizing. When you are synchronizing, the timing is different. The timing expected in the temperate is different from what we have in the tropics. From our little research, we found out that our animals respond much longer than what is in the textbooks. So these are the things that we need to look further into. But when we're using AMPM rule, using a natural heat, we have better results because uh, window that window is almost the same. But when we're synchronizing the results, it's a different ball game. But using the natural heat. But the disadvantage of natural heat is many a times these animals don't also manifest these signs of heat, and that still takes us down to the need for manipulating the cycle. So we can't still do we can't really run away from manipulating the cycle in terms of synchronizing the animal, but we need to understand their responses to the physiology, and we can get better. I believe so strongly that we can get better and we will get better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, before we continue, I want to make a big shout out to Green Lopes Farm. He actually said that he built family tree of each cow and gets a web of relationship which helps him. That's Peter from Kenya, Green Slopes Farm in Kenya. So a big well done to you. That means he's actually keeping records and is able to trace the family of each animals. So thank you so much for that, and I hope you keep the good work and also encourage other people around you to do that. So I'll be taking a question from Bernard. Bernard said, since there are animals with their own traits or gene, why is it then necessary to crossbreed instead of just bearing the ones that have the traits the farmer needs? Doctor, I would like you to respond to that. Why is the need for crossbreeding? And also, while I answer that question, I would like you to also answer this question. It is very important to us as a nation. I don't want the preservation. So I would like you to answer both questions. Okay, go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The first question, I got it clearly. When I finish first question, you quickly repeat the second and I can take it.
Okay, sir.
Somebody said, why do we need to crossbreed when animals already have their natural or inherited traits? Why do we need to improve? Now, for every farmer, profitability is usually the goal. For example, a dairy farmer wants animals, if the average production per day is maybe 50 liters of milk per day, and there are few animals, 1 or 2 or 3 of them, that gives 55 liters per day, about 5 liters above the normal. It is only commonsensical and reasonable to any farmer to say, I have 50 animals, 47 gives me 50 liters of milk per day, only 3 gives me 55 liters. Any reasonable farmer will say, I want the coin to be flipped the other way. Let 47 be giving me 55 liters and only 3 give me. It is on this basis that you want to say you want the frequency of better producing animals of your choice. You want the frequency of such animals to be more in the population of your animals at any given time. This is the beginning of the reason why we do crossbreeding. Every time you crossbreed, when it is a planned crossbreeding, you're doing it with a purpose to achieve a goal, to achieve an objective. And the objective could be various types. It could be for growth rates, it could be for feed conversion, it could be for disease resistance, it could be for production, it could be for resilience, it could be for fertility, it could be for so many characters or many traits. So if you say animals already have a particular trait and you want to remain, you only want to keep top animals on your farm. And if you are keeping top animals on your farm, you want the frequency of those top animals to be more in the population. That brings us to what we call selection, either natural or artificial. That's the first question. Second question, can you quickly repeat it? I didn't get that quite clear.
Okay, sir. So the question was that why should we preserve our indigenous breeds?
Excellent. We need to preserve our indigenous breeds because of the fact that our indigenous breeds are well adapted to our environment. They have some characters and traits that are well suited to this environment, of which if we decide to overshadow our indigenous with exotic breeds, once these traits are lost, they are lost forever. For example, our animals are able to show good resistance to tropical diseases, which the exotic breeds have failed to. They are able to perform averagely under little or poor inputs in terms of feeding and housing, which again, the exotic breeds have not been able to respond to. They are able to conceive under low inputs. So they're able to resist a lot of diseases. For example, the trypanotolerant breeds of sheep, cattle, sheep, and goats. If we fail to conserve our indigenous breeds and we allow genetic erosion to wipe out these traits, we may never recover them again. As a matter of fact, many of these traits in our indigenous breeds are traits that are highly sorted for in exotic breeds. And so, as we keep an eye, so to speak, for some people who are into crossbreeding with exotic breeds, we must not lose focus of retaining our indigenous breeds, bearing in mind that they have the rare and distinct genes that are peculiar to them and to them alone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would like you to respond to this as well. There was actually a question that was asked in our previous dialogue series that was asking that which institution in Nigeria are actually working towards preserving those indigenous breeds. So now that we have you as an expert in that field, I would like you to tell us about it. And also there's a person in the chat, Michael Okoyemi. He said, how do you think the government or institution can in any way support genetic research in breeder poultry? There are a lot of research work that could be invented on both indigenous and hybrid poultry breeds, but couldn't be deeply researched because genetics, most especially molecular, is capital intensive. Sir, how do you think this shortcoming can be improved in breeder poultry research?
Thank you. The first question, researches, some of these genetics we're talking about, we actually have government agencies that have been saddled. I know there's some other reforms that are about coming up, but as we speak, we have the National Animal Production Research Institute, Shika in Zaria, saddled with some of these responsibilities of preserving the different breeds in situ. Also, we have the NAGRAB in Ibadan, National Animal NAGRAB, genetic and so on. I can't really remember it, but I know it's NAGRAB in Ibadan. We also have NABDA. And then many of our universities and research institutes also have a role to play. As a matter of fact, the government alone cannot be left to the preservation of this, especially both in situ and ex situ. But when we talk about the preservation of these genetic materials, we cannot but see that it is a collaborative effort, both from the government, from the private institutions, from the academia, from researchers. It's supposed to be a holistic approach whereby everybody is bringing one thing or the other. For me personally, I am not a true fan of bringing in exotic breeds, so to speak, because of the fact that they actually did a lot of work to get to where they are. And so why are we trying to circumvent or do a shortcut? For me, bringing exotic breed to just impose on our locals and expecting a magic overnight is more or less not acceptable. It's like a shortcut for me, and it is not sustainable. I would have preferred a situation where we go through the rudimentary selection and reselection and we upgrade. Yes, it's possible for you to bring an exotic breed to improve the genetics of your animal, but that should not just be a kind of magic, which a lot of people in Nigeria have come to say they think is the best. The second question talked about, say it again. Can you please just recap the second question?
Okay, yeah, the second question is about the poultry breeders. So you were saying that how can they go about it? That's given that
yes, we've had a number of we've had a number of poultry breeds developed in Nigeria. Talking about the Shika Brown in Zaria, ABM Napri. We've heard about the Funab Alpha and the newly released one from I think the Institute in Ibadan. I'm also aware, because I was actually in the know of the current administration, ably led by Alhaji Idi Mukhtar, the Minister of Livestock Development, calling a meeting, I think just of recent, of these institutions and persons involved in the breeding of this poultry, especially, to say what are the challenges that has made you not to be able to commercialize and allow us have this beautiful development on every table, in every home, on every farm. And I can only say, because of the knowledge we have about our minister, that in no distant time, we are going to be seeing positive responses. However, genomic experiments are quite expensive. My current PhD students had to do whole genome sequence for about 100 guinea fowls. She's going to be defending that in maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe about 2-3 weeks time. The financial implication was so huge that we had to look for a sponsor. Fortunately, we got a sponsor from Germany who paid close to about $22,000 to do whole genome sequence for about 100 guinea fowls. The technology is not too new, but to this part of the world, it is quite still expensive. We believe that as time goes by, the cost of some of these things will come down. But however, private individuals, government, research institutes still need to come to the aid of universities and researchers in footing some of those bills in order for us to get to where we have to go, where we have to be in no distant time. We must be cognizant of time, that time waits for no man. If Nigeria as a country must be able to get some meaningful contributions in terms of development, then the costs of these researches must not be left to researchers alone. The government, the private individuals, key players must find a way to assist in some of these things we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, in the chat box from Geravali is saying a very giving a good kudos to both Dr. and Mr. Olagbaju for the good work they are doing on the field. So thank you, sirs, and thank you, Geravali, for that. So there's a question from Osarame. Osarame said, if a farmer wants to improve the quality of their livestock, how do they go about finding a reputable breeder or breeding service in Nigeria? You are on the right score because our two panelists are experts. And are there organizations, government agencies, or private company they can contact? I want Dr. and Mr. Olagbaju to actually contribute to that. Although you already mentioned some organizations, or maybe you want private services, then I want both Dr. and Mr. Olagbaju to go on. So Mr. Olagbaju, please, you can go on first, then Dr. will support your motion.
Okay. Well, I would say that we at Real People Concept, we are one of the leading private establishments that is supporting farmers on breed improvement through artificial insemination. We run it in cattle. We are currently doing on goats. In fact, I'm on the project where we're inseminating 1,000 goats. We run also on pigs, and we have partners that does on in poultry. And I think in poultry is like water. It's like pure water in Nigeria currently, because we have that being performed and doing well. Having said that, I know there are other organizations in Nigeria who are rendering AI services. But very soon, I'm sure there's going to be a directory where accredited service provider can be assessed. I know the Honorable Minister for Livestock Development has thrown the challenge to Society for Animal Reproduction and Improvement, that's SARI, to create this database. And I know the neck of SARI is working on this. By the way, I'm the Vice President 2 Industry for SARI, so I know this is a work in progress. So in no distant time, we will be having a directory where we can have access to see who and who does what in which breed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
So, Doctor, please, I want you to do your contribution, to make your
Yeah, thank you so
contribution.
much. The person is actually asking that if he or she wants to develop something or improve his animal, how does he go about it? Or does it mean that he has to go somewhere? And, well, basically, depending on what you want to do, like Mr. Olagbaju said, for ruminants, for example, you may have to contact, or you will have to contact persons who are into it, who are specialists with regards to insemination, with regards to the choice of semen and the likes. For poultry, a lot has to be done or is actually going on at the Federal University Lokoja. We are actually on a tour now, not a tour per se. We are actually setting out as a university to come up with a breed of poultry, like we have the Funab Alpha, we have the Shika Brown. This is trying to complement the existing ones and also give farmers a wider variety, a wider choice of this species of animals. However, what is most important for you to say you want to develop or improve any animal is to have an objective. What are you developing it for? Why are you developing? If you have this and you have it clearly spelled out, you will always have your questions answered. Let me quickly say this, that there are a lot of quacks in the market, on the field, parading themselves as you must be very sure that you're not penny wise, pounds foolish. You must try as much as possible to identify the real professionals who are into it, who have been proven and tested, approach them for assistance, and I'm double sure that they are happy to render these services, as the case may be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, this question is tending towards animal welfare related question. So the question is, Doctor, I would like you to answer that for us. So is repeated breeding dairy animals to maintain milk production considered ethical? What measures are taken to ensure the mothers have enough recovery time and are not exploited for commercial purposes?
Okay, basically, if you are talking about dairy animals, for you to get milk, the animal must calve. If it's for goat, the animal must kid. If it's for sheep, the animal must produce the lamb. Any animals, even in human beings, the animal has to give birth to the young for you to get milk. And then talking about, but of course, every time you meet the animals for conception, if you are synchronizing and then you want these animals to conceive so that you can continuously have, there are specific timelines you have to follow for the animals to recover, for the animals to be okay to carry the pregnancy, and for the animal to deliver or calve safely. Any attempt for you to circumvent these timelines is actually exploiting the animal. And in most cases, you will see it, even the animal will complain. You may not be able to speak. If you do assisted reproductive technology, for example, if you do MOET, multiple ovulation and embryo transfer, where you superovulate the animals and then you do ovum retrieval, where you retrieve the eggs, there are timelines that you can synchronize or superovulate. If you go to say you are circumventing any of these things, you are getting nothing. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, it's possible for you to exploit the animals, but the animal also has a way of saying no to exploitation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So the animal actually has ways of saying no to the exploitation. So please, I'm pleading on behalf of the animals because animal life matters. So animal life matters. So do not exploit them, even though we are raising them for commercial purpose. Do not exploit the animals. Okay, there's a question here from Nifemi Jegede. Mr. Alagbadi, you respond to that question first. So, do improved local breeds or crosses have measurably different nutrient requirements than unimproved local stock? Are they able to better utilize the existing nutritional regimen?
Okay, so this is a straightforward answer. For any breed, there are um, certain minimum measure of nutrients that are required in their feed. And of course, the physiological state of that animal also matter. The feed you give to a dry animal is different from the one you give to the animal you are going to breed. Is different from the one that is pregnant, and different from the one that is nursing or lactating. So the standards are there. So the only difference that I may see here is when you are working, for example, if you are doing white Fulani cattle, and the weight is 200 kg, for example, and you are supposed to give 3 to 5% of their body weight as feed per day. So 3% of 200 kg is 6 kg of feed. So that means if a kg is 200 naira, you are giving like a 1,200 naira for that animal per day. But if you now have an hybrid, a crossbred that is giving you, let's say 400, so your cost of feeding, of that animal daily will increase. Though the good thing is that the feed conversion ratio in hybrid is better because the animal gives you more meat per unit feed that you actually give. So there is no significant difference in the quality of feed that you give these categories. The only difference is in quantity because one, performs better. And note that if you don't give the right quality and quantity, you will not get the result. So you must ensure to get result to give the appropriate nutritional, nutrient and in the right quantity, so that the outcome you want, like a doctor mentioned earlier, the phenotypic outcome you want is a result of the environment and the management. In this case, it includes the appropriate quantity of feed.
Thank you so much, sir. So please now, if you want to ask your question using the mic, you can raise your hand. I already see someone raising his hand already, but you can start raising your hand now. Yes, I can see your hand up, Raphael. So before we take Raphael's question, there's someone in the chat, Elijah Yobi, said the major challenge we have now is it is very hard to get pure line. What can we do? Doctor, please, I would like you to answer his question. What can farmers do now that it's difficult for them to
Thank you
get
so
pure
much.
line?
I'm happy to tell you that which of the pure lines are you talking about? Is it indigenous pure lines or exotic pure line? Of course, I want to believe you're talking about indigenous pure lines.
Most likely.
So they are still, yes, indigenous pure lines. So they are still, if not pure, close to pure in areas that are places of origin of the different species. Take, for instance, the white Fulani. There are areas in Nigeria that are like the place of origin of white Fulani. There are areas in Nigeria that are regarded as the place of origin of Adamawa Gudali or Sokoto Gudali. If you go into the interiors and you do a proper search, you may not get 100%. I said may not, underline the word may not, 100, but you get something close to. So it is why that is the more reason why we need our records, even to the peasant farmers level. If we're able to get this record straight, we now can begin to say, okay, this is where this is where this is the number of this particular breed that are, this is what is here, talking about the phenotypic measures. As much as when I was very young, I see this Fulani ecotype chicken everywhere. But now that I'm working on developing a breed, I'm finding it almost impossible to get the pure Fulani ecotype, because I know what I want. When I see it, I know. I've gone to several Fulani habitats in Abuja, in the north. I am yet to see what I'm looking for. What does that tell you? There is already what looks like genetic erosion, where these our pure breeds are already gone or near extinction, you know. But I can still tell you that for every breed and every species, taking a deep search into their places of origin, we can get something, if not pure or pure. If not pure, we can still get something close to the pure lines. And the next step is to begin to think of how to conserve and improve the remnant that is left. And that calls for national awareness, whereby we must control what comes into Nigeria, who is making what, so that we don't completely wipe off our pure lines. Like I earlier said, once it is gone, it is gone. It will be 10 times more difficult to recover them than preserving them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much. I would like to know, for everyone that's asked questions in the chat, I would like to know if you got the response to your questions. Are there still things that you felt are not answered? Please, you can send them to the chat right now. Are your questions were answered, or you felt there's something you still don't have enough clarity on? Please, in the chat box, I will be keeping tabs on that. So please, Refer Mwafo, please, you can omit your mic and answer your question, and ask your question rather.
Good evening, everybody. My name
Good
is
evening.
Rob. Please, I don't have question. I just want to appreciate and thank Dr. and Mr. Alagbaju, if I get it correct. So, and all our hosts, thank you all. So I'm very happy to be here. I don't have question right now. I just started constructing my farm, my goat pen, and I want it to be integrated farm, because I will be training fowls, guinea fowls, and turkey and goats. So I'm still constructing it. Very soon I will start, and I've planted some grasses like alfalfa, molatotu, and spanapia, and sugar grass grass. So I'm just happy to be here. Just happy to be here. I appreciate all of you. I thank you, all of you. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raphael, and congratulations on that. I'm glad that you started with the intention of feeding the animals well, because that's one of the basics. You know, if you have is not sufficient, it's not going to be so productive. So I think it's a good thing that you started with investing in nutrition aspects first, even before the animal arrives, because feed should normally come before the animal. So you have made a very good decision by doing that. And thank you so much for being here. We are glad to have you, and we are happy that you are learning from this opportunity that was presented to you. Thank you so much. So I'm expecting more people to raise their hands. If you've asked questions, I'm expecting you to raise your hands. You necessarily do not have to ask questions. You can, your observations, your comments, let it come in, because we are getting so close to the end of this dialogue series today. And I want to say that it has been an amazing experience moderating this panel section and even hosting our two panelists. It is a very rare opportunity for us to have them together in this section. It's a very rare opportunity, and we actually do not take it for granted. Okay, so we have Emmanuel Adun. Please, Emmanuel Adun, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, this lecture was very enlightening, honestly, because it reminds me of an argument I had with a colleague of mine. I work for the State Ministry of Livestock Development. So he is a very big advocate for the importation of exotic, the genes from exotic breeds, and then, crossbreeding. And I told him, I don't like the idea. The best way would always be to look for the key strengths in our local breed and continue to select and select and select. But he keeps pushing that and from what the presenter said, I think the presenter where he even took side with my position that it's better to look and strengthen our local breed than to be importing these genes, because they are not better suited for our environment compared to our local ones. So I just want to quickly point out that and then appreciate the presenter for that position, because I've always had it, and at some point I was feeling like maybe I'm the one who is not seeing the bigger picture. Thank you very much. That's just all I want to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you are seeing the bigger picture, or the thing is, we actually they have both established. We are trying to jump, and that is not it. Let's start right. Let's get it right, and then from the basics we'll grow. We have seen other countries' results. We have seen other people in other clients' results, and we just want to get that result. But the result does not come in just a very short time. It has been something they have been doing over the time. So I think we should all adopt that the result is not just a sudden thing. It's with purpose, intentional breeding, just like Dr. has says. I think I like that part. It says breeding with purpose. So they have the purpose. We should not just jump into getting the results they had. So we have another person, Abubakar Adamu. Please unmute your mic and speak.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you so much for the enlightenment. Honestly, I'm so happy as a farmer, and I've learned a lot from the two presenters. Honestly, what has been bothering me most has been the two things that have been bothering us is about this AI, the synchronization aspect. But one of the presenters has solved my problem by telling us that we should be very careful about the type of semen's we bring in and the type of animals that we are trying to cross them and all that. Honestly, it has solved my problem, because honestly, the synchronization has been giving us a headache. We lost a lot of cows on the process of the insemination. And secondly, the enlightenment about the data capturing. It has also been a challenge, but now I'm better informed, and I'm going home relaxed and ready to face my challenge. Thank you so much for the update. We are really grateful.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And sorry about the past experience you had. So I'm hoping that you have a better experience now and you will even be more happier with your practices at the farm. And we wish you the best of the decision I've made. Okay, so there's someone, Maja Kodumi Abdul Qadri. Okay, so he said do start if we do start doing selective breeding on our indigenous breeds, investors from outside will come over and take the best strains or traits from us and come back to sell it to us. We can see how they transform our wild goats into pygmy and Nigerian draft goats. Doctor, what comments will you make on that?
Thank you so much. Like I earlier said, one of my mentors that actually mentored me so much in person of Professor Shinawo, has always shared the same view as I do. I am not in total support of. I'm not totally against bringing in genetics, and of course they could have some benefits when we talk about grading up and breed improvement. But our primary aim should be selecting and reselecting our indigenous to a certain level that we can be confident of. For example, you have South African Holstein, you have Holstein also in the US, you also have Holstein in Netherlands. These three Holsteins perform differently based on their environment. If you go to Australia, in Rockhampton, Brisbane, you find that Rockhampton is hotter than Guagolada. And that's why you find that a lot of people in Rockhampton have the skin cancer. Yet, they have some breeds of animals that are fantastic. Fantastic animals. And that's why you even find countries like Australia, you are not allowed to bring in anything that is of that is of either animal or plant origin. While you are taking the last flight into Australia, they are going to pass a form to you to say, declare if you have either plant or animal, whatever. Even Kilishi, for example, you can't take into Australia. Why? They don't want to dilute their genetics in any form. It's a grain of maize, whether cooked or roasted. You can't take it into Australia. If you declare it while you are going, they will collect it from you and trade. But if you conceal it and you are discovered at the airport, they will send you back at the airport, even though you have a visa. That is how much they will prefer you to take their own genetics out, but they don't want to contaminate their own genetics. You can take anything out. I bought a lot of maize, sweet corn and stuff from them and brought it to Nigeria, but you can't take anything into their country. What does that tell you? It tells you that they have been able to be serious-minded enough to develop their own genetics, plant and animal, and they are proud of it, and they are willing to export it to anywhere they want to export it. That's what I feel we should do in Nigeria, because all these exotic breeds we are bringing in and bringing in and bringing in. Yes, farmers will always ask us, I want this semen, I want it. And when you refuse to tell them, to give them what they want, sometimes they just feel you are not useful or you don't want to help them. So sometimes you are just forced to say, okay, if this is what you want. I have a farmer, as I speak to you, that said he wanted what's it called? Not the Kalari, boa goat. Yeah, we got the boa goat for him, and he was happy. And then the boa goat mated the first calf. The boa goats, where we got it from, maybe it's not used to grazing, and the farmer allowed the animal to graze, and the animal went out and then grazed on obnoxious weed. The animal came back in the evening, laid down in his pen, and that was it. The next morning, he's gone without any sign. But you find that our own indigenous breed will eat the same thing that boa goat has eaten, and we'll still be looking at you and smiling at you. So these are some of the traits we already have in our own animals that are rare and can't be found anywhere. If we lose them, I keep saying it, it will be a diamond. May that not happen to Nigeria and this part of the world. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, so Mr. Olagbaju, regarding what Dr. just said, I would like you to also share your own view about us telling our own stories. Like, what I mean telling our own stories, like in the livestock section, when it comes to keeping data, when it comes to like having our own, like our markets, or let me say our PR, our market PR is so much influenced that, in fact, like it's even difficult for farmers to make decisions at times, because there is a lot of stories. Okay, this breeds, that breeds, this one after this month, another one is coming, things like that. So, like, what do you think about that? What are your views about telling our own stories as a nation in the livestock space?
Uh, Sadly, we don't appreciate what we have. We we love what is coming from other part of the world. Sadly,
Absolutely.
and God has so much blessed us, and we shouldn't be in this chaotic situation we find ourselves, because we are so blessed as a country. But we don't see what God has made here for us. We only look ahead outside for what others are doing. We leave what we are supposed to do undone. Then we admire the result of those who are doing it. I think the first thing for us to do is to actually sit down and love ourselves, love our system, love our situation. Of course, everything may not be correct, may not be right, may not be the way we want it to be,
I'll be
but
very
in what
true.
way are we contributing to the progress of the country? We are quick to complain, we are quick to condemn somebody, but we don't look inwards at how am I impacting this country? How am I making contribution positively to the country? So I think before we project anything, we need to address this first and foremost. Yes, things may not be right, but what are you doing as a person to make things right? And as you do it, speak about it. That can also encourage somebody, to do it. So my challenge to every one of us on this call is, let's not only look for what Nigeria is going to do for us. Let's think of what we are going to do for the betterment of this country. Let's do it. Let's speak about it so that others can learn and they can join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So we are about wrapping up. But before we go, I wanted to do two things. Number one, both Dr. and Mr. Olagbaju will make the contribution towards that. What are the nearest future in animal genetics, genetic improvements, the nearest thing that is going to be happening, like in our country, based on what we have now and the projection? What are the things that we should look forward to in genetic improvements? So I want Doctor to go first, then Mr. Olagbaju, you will support what he has said. Thank you.
Let me quickly say that I want to give kudos to the current administration we have at the helm of affairs with regards to livestock, the Ministry of Livestock, the current minister and his team. If what is happening now had been happening several years like this, Nigeria would have moved well ahead of where we are today. Honestly speaking, because a lot of transformation, which we may not be seeing, or which you may not be seeing, they are running concurrently. Breed improvement. You heard Mr. Olagbaju talking about inseminating animals. A lot of things. I talked about the minister inviting breed developers across different species and trying to share thoughts with them. What are the bottlenecks? Trying to see how they can be removed. Policies coming up now. So I think the lowest hanging fruit we have now is to see how we can consolidate on all this that is happening as individuals, as organizations, as researchers, as lecturers, as private organizations. Try to see how we can leverage on all this that's coming up, contribute our own quota and only believe that it is when you and I do our own part that you can be exonerated. You cannot correct a bad government or a bad system by abstaining from it. You need to be part of it. So I see Nigeria moving from where we were to at least a place where every one of us can see visible difference between where we were and where we intend to be in the nearest future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Mr. Olagbaju, I would like you to also share us your own view of that same question.
Okay, I see us improving on the success rate of AI due to knowledge. Personally, I've taken series of sessions, especially students and professionals, on the missing link, especially the physiology, reprophysiology, that we've not really been taking, cognizant of. Knowledge has to increase when it comes to this area. So we have been pushing, and a lot of people are taking up the challenge. I am beginning to see some of, my mentees who are doing greatly, and who are also interested in advancing knowledge when it comes to this area. So I see AI improving. Yes, we're beginning to see embryo transfer activities, even though we don't have, yeah. So even though we don't have much of the details there, but I know activities are going on, and I'm sure over time we can get it rightly, and we would be better off for this. I can see genomics also, because it's becoming the talk of the town. Yeah, I can see it also dominating, taking over the research space. And these three key tools will be a game changer. Will actually help us to take that leap, combining AI with the embryo transfer and the genomic selection. AI talks about the male animal, embryo transfer is about the female animal, and the genomics talks about the traits, quality trait of interest that goes into the next generation. So I see us consolidating knowledge-based practice around this, and we're using it to take that leap. That we look forward to. So it may not be that we are flying like a jet, but then it can take us running at least towards our direction. And I see us doing a lot around the ARTs, that is assisted reproductive technologies. So I see us pushing it further and engaging the use of ART in improving our breeds. So I see this, working. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So please, I would like to see in the chat, I would like you to, as we are wrapping up the section, what have you learned? What have you learned? I would like to see. I would like us to appreciate our panelists. They have done very amazing things for us tonight. I would like to see your thank you. I would like to see a lot of reactions from you. React in the chat. I want to say that. Okay, so as we close, Mr. Olagbaju, you go first. So what do you want? Let me say a farmer or whoever, because we have diverse of audience. We have both farmers, we have researchers, we have students, we have service providers on the call. So what would you like us to take away from this conversation today?
Yeah, my key takeaway from here today is that we need to look inwards. We need to appreciate what God has blessed us with. Nigeria is a blessed country. We are too blessed. We are super blessed. Let's appreciate what God has given us. Let's improve on them, and let's, reduce our dependence on what is on the other side. We are too blessed. Let's develop and improve on what we have. That's my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And Doctor, who would like to hear from you.
Thank you so much. My key takeaway will just be that let us invest in knowledge about what we want to do as individuals. It is not enough to just keep animals and feed them and just believe that it is only weight that matter. Let us invest in knowledge. Let's search for knowledge to say, I know what I want, and this is the path I want to tour, or I want to get what I want. And then in a distant time, we'll begin to see our desires come to pass, and Nigeria will be better for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sas. I really want to say a very big thank you for this generous conversation. You have been so generous with us, your time, your expertise. We do not take this for granted. And to everyone on the call, wants to thank you so much for your attention and your time. Your contributions actually made it so worth it. Thank you so much. And I'm sure after this conversation, we have been able to differentiate things that are myths, things that are evidence, that are backed up with evidence. So I would like us to go with this knowledge and with the charge we've gotten. Let's look inward. Let's get to gain more knowledge. Having the animals is not enough, but getting the knowledge that requires to ensure they are productive, it is very important. And I am very honored to host this panel section alongside as panelists today. I really want to say a big thank you to Dr. Ayoola Shoyombo. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Olagbaju, and a very big thank you to everybody on the call tonight. So I'm taking my bow while the host take charge of the events. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Abimbola, for expertly moderating such an engaging panel discussion and interactive question and answer session. Let's give our panelists another round of virtual applause for sharing their words of knowledge and practical insights. I am sure we all leave this conversation with a clear understanding that meaningful progress in animal genetic improvement is built on science, evidence, and informed decisions, not might. As the saying goes, knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. Today's conversation doesn't end here. It is the beginning of more informed discussion, better research, and smarter agricultural practices. So now, before we officially draw the curtain of this impactful webinar, I'd like to take a few moments to introduce the platform that made today's event possible. That is the Agribridge Forum. So Agribridge is more than a community. It is a growing network of students, researchers, professionals, innovators, and farmers united by a common goal, bridging the gap between knowledge and a practical agricultural solution. Through webinars like this, capacity building initiative, and collaborative opportunity, Agribridge is nurturing a generation of informed agricultural leaders who are committed to transforming the sector. If today's session has inspired you, then this is just the beginning. We encourage you to stay connected with Agribridge, participate in our upcoming programs, and invite others to be part of this growing moment. Together, we're not just discussing the future of agriculture, we are helping to shape it. I think we have a message in the in-call messages. Okay, Gabriel Bali said, I wish to thank you, our awesome speakers, our icon and mentor. As a partnership, I would like Dr. Shoyombo to recommend Mr. Olagbaju for AI services. Okay, And there's another message too from Caleb Obaje. He said, "Thank you, facilitators. Wonderful insight and many things learned tonight. I am 100% sure a lot of us learned one or two things already." Right before we continue, Miss Ambimbola, you can unmute your mic, please.
All right, yes. What I wanted to say was what you just read. So is Garavali, if I really get what you said you would like Dr. Shoyombo to recommend Mr. Olagbaju for AI service. Doctor, are you still on the call? Mr. Olagbaju, are you still on the call?
I'm still here.
Okay, Doctor, are you still on the call? Mr. Garavali wants to, okay, I don't know, Garavali wants to leverage on your recommendation for Mr. Olagbaju. He said he appreciated you saying, "Thank you, our awesome speakers and our icon and mentor. As passing share, I would like Dr. Shoyombo to recommend Mr. Olagbaju for AI service."
Yes. Mr. Olagbaju has been a very close friend. We've known each other for well over maybe 12 years, and there is hardly a time we don't talk. We've done a lot of things together. If you ask me for any AI service, which he himself can testify to, he's my first choice. We've talked about several things. We've done a lot of things together. He's my number one choice AI specialist. I would recommend any day, anytime without any reservation. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. And I hope Garavali can get that. So from Caleb Obaje said, "Thank you, facilitators, wonderful insights and many things learned tonight." So thank you so much to you, sirs. So Dr. Shoyombo and Mr. Olagbaju, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much, success, for the opportunity to miss my mic again.
Okay, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the clarification. And once again, a big thank you to our panelists. Thank you so much, because everyone on this call already have a lot to take home, a lot to work on, a lot to ponder on tonight and take actions on, because our this session is not just about listening, it's about taking actions afterwards. So as we conclude today's webinar, I would sincerely appreciate our distinguished panelists for sharing their valuable time, expertise, and practical insight. So everyone who joined us this evening, thank you for your participation, for your thoughtful question and commitment to continuous learning. We hope today's discussion has helped separate mind from fact and has inspired you to think more critically about animal genetic improvement and its role in building a sustainable livestock industry. Right before we conclude our appreciation, we have a spotlight coming up and on the 12th of August, that is International Youth Day. And if we are on the group, we will share more information on that. And if for sure you're not on the group, but you're on this call, I will drop my number now so we can so anyone that is not on the group can message me, then I will add the person to the group. We have another important webinar. We call it Spotlight because it lasts for just 1 hour or maximum of 1 hour 30 minutes, and the theme is different context, common aspirations, and it is for young people like in the livestock system, for us to learn through innovation and partnership. More information about it will be shared in the group. I will drop my phone number now. For anyone who is not on the group, just type Agribridge, send it to me, then automatically I will add you up to the group. So once again, on behalf of Agribridge, we are saying thank you for being part of this impactful section. This won't be our last webinar. We look forward to seeing you again and again and again and again. We look forward to learning with you every now and then. We look forward to having more meaningful conversations like this. Do have a peaceful and a lovely night. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Sis.
much. God bless.
Thank you.